Hello there, welcome to Just the Discs. We talk about Blu-rays here, and 4Ks, and physical media, and outlets for physical media. And one such outlet that I obviously am a big fan of, and have talked about here before, is of course DiabolikDVD.com, a great website for all kinds of boutique labels and imports, and just really cool stuff, genre stuff, and keeping track of what's going on in the physical media world, really. So today I have a big old pile of stuff. And this pile represents a bunch of things that I've gotten recently. A lot of which is from DiabolikDVD, but all of which is at least available from DiabolikDVD, I believe, at this time. And most of these should be in stock as well, but I can't guarantee that. But we're going to start at the top with a little bit of love for Indicator in the UK, with this lovely Pryor and Wilder box set. I do love these theme box sets, and this is a nice one. Obviously, Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder had a really neat sort of history and did some fun movies together. This includes 3 of those films: Stir Crazy, See No Evil, Hear No Evil, and Another You. And I think these are all Columbia movies, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. In Stir Crazy, Wilder's character, they're Skip and Harry, Wilder and Pryor. They're sentenced to 25 years, 125 years for bank robbery that they didn't commit, and must rely on each other to survive in a maximum security prison. Very funny stuff. In See No Evil, Hear No Evil, blind Wally, that's Richard Pryor, and deaf Dave, that's Wilder, team up to foil a murderous gang of thieves. I've always found this one pretty funny. For the blind and deaf humor, especially from these two guys, works really well for me. I don't know. And then finally, in Another You, a compulsive liar, that's Wilder, George, is mistaken for the heir to a fortune to the delight of a con man, Eddie, played by Richard Pryor. So you got a little con movie happening. This essential 3-disc collection features an array of fascinating contextualizing extras, including a newly recorded commentaries, interviews, and critical appreciations, as well as a 100-page book containing new and archival writings. Strictly limited to 6,000 individually numbered units. And as you can see, has the belly band, of course, as is the case always with these films. And then we have all 3 in the cardboard sleeves. This is a Region B locked set. All these are Region B locked. And then, of course, comes with the book, which I'll get to at the end here. But just to run down what's in this one, audio commentary on Stir Crazy by journalists and authors Max Every and Brian Reisman, a duo I like very much. Law and Order Funk, an 8-minute featurette with composer and musician Tom Scott as he recalls the circumstances surrounding the creation of the film's soundtrack. The Defiant One, a 16-minute featurette with author and scholar Michael Boyce Gillespie, who explores Sidney Poitier's directorial career and his professional working relationship with Pryor. He, of course, directed Stir Crazy. This is a UK premiere on Blu-ray, I guess. Then for See No Evil, Hear No Evil, we have audio commentary with Max Every and Brian Reisman again. Excellent. Fairlight Entertainment, a 5-minute interview with composer Stuart Copeland, remembering his work on the film. I'm a big Stuart Copeland fan. Obviously, Rumblefish is a huge one for me. I love that score. The Making of See No Evil, Hear No Evil. This is from 1989, the original promotional documentary. It's about 8 minutes. Also UK Blu-ray premiere. And then Another You has a commentary from Kim Newman and film journalist Nick de Semmelin. That's very cool. And Gene Wilder in Conversation from 2005, a 64-minute archival audio recording of the celebrated actor at the National Film Theatre, London. Partners Forever, a new 28-minute interview. Benedict Morrison, programmer and artistic director of the London Comedy Club, explores the dynamic of the Pryor-Wilder relationship. Also a UK Blu-ray premiere. So now, in terms of the book, which is really nice, you get a 100-page book with new essay by Jeff Billington and excerpts from the archival interviews with Pryor and Wilder, as well as an archival production report on Stir Crazy, extracts from the film's press books, and full film credits. So a very nice set. Again, available. I think there's at least a couple copies left at Diabolik. Next up, we have a couple more continuing their wonderful Jean Rollin series of 4Ks. And we'll start with Requiem for a Vampire in 4K. And this looks fantastic. So yeah, this is, I don't even know how many they've done. It's got to be over 10 at this point, at least, in terms of these Jean Rollin releases. But this one is from 1972, and it's Rollin continuing his unique exploration of the vampire genre, which is obviously something he was very fond of. With Requiem for a Vampire, featuring a cast of Rollin regulars, including Marie-Pierre Castel, Mireille Dargent, and Louis Dore, who we'll talk about in a second in the other release. When Marie Castel and Michelle Dargent, two enigmatic women traveling through the countryside in clown costumes, stumble across a mysterious chateau, they uncover a sadistic vampire sect, the leader of which offers them eternal life to continue his bloodline. Also released as Virgins and Vampires, Caged Vampires, Rollin's pulp-inspired fourth feature boasts an abundance of surreal and erotic imagery and is accompanied by an eccentric free rock score by composer Pierre Raff. So this is a new 4K HDR restoration from the original negative done by Powerhouse Films. So this is Indicator themselves doing it, which is great. 4K 2160p UHD presentation in Dolby Vision, HDR10 compatible. Two presentations of the film, Requiem pour un Vampire, Jean Rollin's original French language version, as well as Jean Rollin's original, as well as Requiem for a Vampire, the English language version. Original model soundtracks, audio commentary by film historians Troy Howarth and Nathaniel Thompson, obviously veterans of genre and great for this kind of a gig. Selected scenes audio commentary with Jean Rollin from 2005. Jean Rollin introduces Requiem for a Vampire from 1998, 5 minutes. In a Silent Way, an 8-minute new featurette, newly edited archival interview with Rollin, in which he discusses Requiem for a Vampire, a personal favorite of his films. I did not know that. Let's see here. Queen of the Underworld, a new 9-minute, newly edited archival interview with actor Louis Dore. Pastoral Dalliance, a 4-minute, newly edited archival interview with actor Paul Basiglia. And Les Frissons d'un Requiem, 40 minutes, an in-depth documentary on the making of Requiem for a Vampire by Rollin's personal assistant Daniel Goyette, featuring interviews with key Rollin associates Jean-Noel Delmar and Natalie Perry, and film expert Daniel Bird. Also included The Poetry of Strangeness, a new 8-minute critical appreciation by author and film historian Virginie Selvey, and The Last Book, a 9-minute newly edited archival interview with Rollin, in which he talks about his work as an author and reads from his own one of his short stories. Alternative clothed sequences as opposed to naked sequences. And this has a limited edition 80-page book, which has a new essay by Maria J. Perez Cuervo, and archival writing by Jean Rollin on the making of the film, an archival interview with director Peter Blumenstock, an extract from the film's press book, and English translation of Rollin's story, The Last Book. And this is a world premiere on 4K UHD, as I think most of their Rollin films are. So anyway, that's Requiem for a Vampire. 6,000 4K units, 4,000 Blu-rays. This is obviously just the 4K. This does not include a Blu-ray. Okay, so next up we have the Escapees, excuse me. Another of the Rollin 4Ks. This one's from 81, and it's about, like, between the dystopian paranoia of the Night of the Hunted and the visceral excesses of the Living Dead girl, director Jean Rollin takes a surreal detour into Parisian demi-monde with the Escapees, when two young women, the wayward Michelle and the withdrawn Marie, I'm seeing a pattern here, two young women wandering, escape from an asylum. They find themselves drifting through a nightmarish world of burlesque troops, lascivious sailors, and hardened criminals. After a violent confrontation, the police close in with its supporting cast of key collaborators, including Brigitte Lahaye, Louis Dore, Bernard Papineau, Jean-Luc Philippe, Natalie Perry again, and composer Philippe Daram, who also did Two Orphan Vampires. The Escapees is at once atypical yet unmistakably by Jean Rollin. So this is another new 4K UHD restoration from the original negative by Powerhouse Films. 4K 2160p UHD presentation in Dolby Vision with HDR10 compatible. Two presentations of the film: Les Échappés, the Jean Rollin original French version, and Les Pommes du Petit Matin, the alternative version with reordered scenes. So they're both French. Original French mono soundtrack. Audio commentary by film expert Tim Lucas, always welcome in the area of genre, and neat to have him on a Jean Rollin release. One Day in Paris, a brand new 30-minute presentation of an in-depth 2008 interview with Rollin in which he discusses the Escapees and his other films. Quant à Louise, a 5-minute regular Jean Rollin collaborator Natalie Perry and Jean-Pierre collaborators Jean-Pierre Boyot, remember actor Louis Dore, Monsieur Lou et la Folie, 2024, 9 minutes. Previously unseen interview with Jean-Luc Philippe, in which the actor discusses his work as a writer and his friendship with Rollin. A Secret Room, 35-minute critical appreciation by author and musician Stephen Thrower, another of the heavyweights like Tim Lucas. Very cool to have him on this disc. World premiere on 4K UHD, and then of course we have a book that comes with this. This is let's see here, including essays from Lucas Balbo. There's some introduction to the Escapees by Jean Rollin. Interview with Rollin. Jean Rollin, The Other Side of the Mirror by Nicholas Stanzik. And Philip Duram, composer for cinema by Damien Deschays. So several essays included in this lovely book as well. So those are the indicator titles. I'll probably move a little more quickly through the rest here, but I got Incubus, and this is, of course, the William Shatner film, which I'd only heard of it recently. My podcast partner, Albert Kane, mentioned this one, and it is really an intriguing Twilight Zone-y kind of dream of a film. It's like folk horror adjacent. It's definitely in that area if you haven't seen it. It is often said that films about the devil are cursed with bad luck, but Leslie Stevens' Incubus might be the most cursed of them all. By the time it premiered in 1966, two of its stars had tragically taken their own lives. The eccentric director's insistence on filming in the obscure Esperanto language ensured it failed to receive any distribution, and it was nearly lost forever when the original elements were believed lost in a fire. Decades passed until it was finally saved and unveiled to the public in all its unholy glory. Wounded in battle, Soldier Mark, that's William Shatner, just prior to being cast in Star Trek, ventures to the remote village of Nome Tomb to find a well where the waters are said to be blessed with healing powers. Little does he suspect that the inhabitants of Nome Tomb are demonic seductresses who entice interlopers with and lead them to damnation. And one such succubus, Kia, Allison Ames, has her sights on Mark. As an eclipse shrouds the sun and darkness falls over the village, Mark and Kia's relationship becomes more passionate. Will his soul survive? Now restored in 4K in the last known surviving 35 print, in this eerie, unforgettable American folk horror from the creator of The Outer Limits to chill the generation that has never seen it before. A new generation that's never seen it before. Stylishly filmed in Big Sur and other California locations. I really think that gives it a great, unique quality. By cinematographer and future Academy Award winner Conrad L. Hall. Connie Hall shot this, so that's another reason it's really beautiful. Yeah, just a big recommend on this one. Lots of great extras included here, and just a movie that I feel like a lot of people don't know about. So that is Incubus. And speaking of movies that people don't know about, we have from Cinematograph Who Killed Teddy Bear? And this one is pretty sleazy stuff. Sal Mineo, Juliette Prowse. This is a new. Is this a 4K? Yeah, this is a 4K Ultra HD. New restoration from the original 35 camera negative with additional sequences sourced from a 35 fine grain master. Nora Drain, a Manhattan disco hostess, finds herself the victim of a stalker and obscene phone caller. New York Police Department Lieutenant Dave Madden, that's Jan Murray, overhears her complaints at the precinct and takes a personal interest in Drain's case, finding himself drawn not only to Drain but to the sordid desires of the Times Square sex district. As Drain begins to question the intentions of Madden, a sullen busboy at her work, that's of course Sal Mineo, reveals himself as her stalker, putting her in a fight for her life on the streets of New York City. Directed by noted television Broadway producer Joseph Cates and co-written by the Doom Patrol and Guardians of the Galaxy creator Arnold Drake, Who Killed Teddy Bear is relentlessly tawdry time capsule of the mid-1960s Times Square, evocatively shot in stark black and white by Joseph C. Brun, peerlessly ahead of its time for 1965. It was censored shortly after its original theatrical release, and since has only been available in its edited version, which I had a import Blu-ray of, but was told get rid of that because this is the one. So yeah, 4K UHD debut, adding back several minutes of never on video material, newly restored from its 35 negative. Commentary by Elizabeth Purcell and KJ Shepard. Video essay by Chris O'Neill. Some featurette on the New York City locations. Essays included. So, really cool, interesting, weird, sleazy stuff. Who Killed Teddy Bear? Then we have this is the Curzon film 4K of Paris, Texas, the Wim Wenders film. I can't remember. I thought I'd heard this might look better than the Criterion 4K, but what it does have is it has some additional extras that does not have. It has an introduction by Wim Wenders on the 40th anniversary, and a 2022 interview with Wenders. Interview with the restoration colorist Philip Orgasa, Super 8 footage, Cannes 1984 featurette, deleted scenes. It has, of course, the commentary that's included on the Paris, Texas Criterion, but I like this movie enough that I was like, I really want to get the best version I can, so I probably will maybe end up trading in my 4K Criterion because of this, but it is a little bigger, as you can see, by comparison to another disc. But I don't know, it's a nice hard case, just a nice set. It's got a Blu-ray, a region-free Blu-ray as well. So that's the Paris, Texas from Curzon film. Another Arrow release. Demolition Man on 4K. Haven't had a chance to crack this open yet. I'm not going to explain Demolition Man. I think this is a movie a lot of people know. But brand new 4K restoration from the original 35 camera negative by Arrow Films, approved by director Marco Brambilla, and includes both the domestic Taco Bell and international Pizza Hut versions of the film, presented via seamless branching, which I do like. That's very cool. And a whole bunch of other stuff. I mean, it's a really nice 4K. And you can get this elsewhere, but, you know, I do like to usually get my Arrow 4Ks from Diabolic, ultimately, because, I don't know, they always show up in a timely manner and in good shape. But definitely looking forward to digging into this and waxing philosophical about the seashells, the 3 seashells again. So that's Demolition Man on 4K. And then this is the new Blu-ray of Timecrimes, which I think is this is the Umbrella Entertainment Blu-ray. I think this is a Blu-ray premiere. I could be wrong about that. I'm not sure about a worldwide premiere, but I know it's not really on Blu-ray in the States, and that's crazy because it is a wonderful film by Nacho Vigalondo and one of my favorite time bounce, time travel kind of movies where a guy is just kind of it's like he's hanging out in his yard and he sees something and he goes over the hill to check something out, and there's some sciencey stuff happening, and it ends up, it's really cool. It's a really cool film, and if you haven't seen it, it's well worth your time. This has an audio commentary with director Nacho Vigalondo, which I'm very excited to check out, as well as an interview with him. Alternate chronological cut, which I don't really think I want to see, but I'm glad they included that. Making of Timecrimes documentary, cast and crew interviews, makeup featurette, 7:35 de la Mañana short film by Nacho. I don't know if that's the film this is. Maybe this was based on. I'm not sure. Timecrimes internet game documentary as well. So a lot of nice features on this one, and it's from Umbrella. From Film Masters, we have Creature with the Blue Hand, but this also includes Web of the Spider. Now, Web of the Spider had gotten a release from Garage House Pictures, but this is a new 4K scan of that, and this is also Creature with the Blue Hand is also scanned in 4K from 35 Elements from Film Masters. This is formerly Film Detective, but I really like this new Film Masters imprint that they have sort of brought to the fold now. So for those craving a taste of Euro Kinski, 2 of Kinski's European features have come together in one creepy package presented for the first time on domestic Blu-ray. Creature with the Blue Hand, 1967, is a mystery thriller about a series of grisly murders. It's one of several German films based on the novels of Edgar Wallace, many adaptations of which starred Kinski. This time he plays an escaped mental patient who might be the killer. Meanwhile, Web of the Spider, 1971, is a classic haunted house tale from the Italian maestro Antonio Margheriti, with Kinski as none other than Edgar Allan Poe. It's a diabolical double dose from one of cinema's most controversial and unique figures. Includes bonus film The Bloody Dead, 1987, in HD, premiering for the first time on Blu-ray in independent international pictures, including raw and behind-the-scenes footage. Audio commentary on The Bloody Dead with producer Sam M. Sherman. New full-length commentaries for Creature of the Blue Hand and Web of the Spider from film historian Stephen Jones and Kim Newman. Yes, very excited about that. 2 new documentaries. Man of Mystery Inside the World of Edgar Wallace and Kinski Crimis Inside the Rialto Film Adaptations. Original 1967 trailer, Castle of Blood, original English trailer. Essays in full color booklet written by Christopher Stewartson and Nick Clark. Now, what I didn't mention at the top is that Creature with the Blue Hand is a movie that I came to know because of a momentary programming stint that Quentin Tarantino did for the now defunct Trio cable network. And he programmed some really interesting stuff. He programmed, I remember, Bus Riley's Back in Town, which only just got a Blu-ray a few years ago from Imprint. He programmed Crazy House, which is the sequel to Hell's A-Poppin'. And he also programmed Creature with the Blue Hand. And so I was like, very cool. I got to check that out. And I remember liking it, but it's been a really long time since I've seen it. And the version I saw was definitely crappy, and I feel like it's had a history of not quite public domain, but not great releases. So very excited for this Film Masters Blu-ray. Just a few more here. One more from Arrow. We have the 4K of The Addiction by Abel Ferrara. Wonderful. Well, I don't know about wonderful, but a very solid and dark vampire movie from Abel Ferrara. The mid-90s were a fertile period for the vampire movie. Big-name stars such as Tom Cruise, Eddie Murphy flocked to the genre, as did high-caliber filmmakers like Francis Ford Coppola, veterans Wes Craven and John Landis, independents Michael Almerita and Jeffrey Arsenault, and up-and-comers Quentin Tarantino and Guillermo del Toro. Amid the fangs and crucifixes, Abel Ferrara reunited with his King of New York star Christopher Walken for The Addiction, a distinctly personal take on the creature of the night. And it is that. It's a very unique vampire movie, black and white. I really can't wait to check this out. This has also got some nice features from Arrow and a brand new 4K restoration from the camera negative. Good stuff there. One of my first purchases from TerraVision. This was, I can't remember if this was on sale or it was running out of stock, but this is The Jar, which is a movie I remember distinctly seeing the video cover. I want to say it was a Vestron cover, but don't quote me on that, for back in the day. So I just wanted to give it a shot. I've heard mixed things about it. Paul Gary Wallace is traveling home one evening after work when he finds an old man who's injured on the side of the road. Paul stops and carries the man to his car in order to take him home and clean him up. The old man tells Paul about a jar that he cannot leave there and for him to pick it up. Paul then gets home. The old man disappears, but the jar remains and consumes Paul. All things are spiraling for Paul. Is the jar making him see visions? What could be next? Charon, a.k.a. The Jar, was released by Magnum Entertainment in 1984 and was omnipresent in video rental stores. While the film was shot in scope, the distributor released it in a butchered crop presentation, cutting about half of the intended frame in a murky VHS transfer. TerraVision has restored Charon the Jar using a partial camera negative along with a print to finally offer director Bruce Toscano's unique vision in all its beautiful color-drenched glory, accompanied by a stunning synth score and bonus material. This is striking new viewing experience for even longtime fans of the film. And it has commentary with Bruce Toscano, commentary with Gary Wallace, making of doc. I mean, it's pretty nice. But yeah, neat to see a movie that was so butchered on home video, and I'm glad I never saw it that way. So I'm glad I could see it in 235 the proper way. There. I think this one is still in stock, but I'm not sure, and that's Bloodline. This is the from Vinegar Syndrome, based on what is it? It's based on Sidney Sheldon. It just sounds like a nutty movie to me, this one. I'm not going to go through the plot of it or anything like that, but I remember hearing Joe Rubin interviewed on Disconnected, and he was talking about some of his. This was one of the movies that they'd put out recently that he was a big fan of, and that really got my attention because I think Joe Rubin's a fascinating guy. And if you haven't seen it, go check out that interview with him and Oscar on Disconnected, because it's one of my favorite interviews of all of last year. Like, just the frankness with which Joe goes into a lot of aspects of the physical media business, I found just so intriguing. But yeah, when I hear he's really into a movie that especially is one where I feel like there's a mixed response, I decided I got to pick it up. And then one more Arrow here. We have the Torso 4K UHD. This, of course, the Giallo from... oh, boy. Who directed this one again? I'm blanking here. I'll have to find it in the back. A talented and versatile... Oh, Sergio Martino, of course. Who, of course, did Case of the Scorpion's Tail, Your Vice is a Locked Room, and Only I Have the Key. Lent his talents to the multiple genres across his long and varied career, but is undoubtedly best known for his giallo thrillers. 1973, Torso revels in the genre's time-honored traditions while simultaneously laying the groundwork for the modern slasher movie. I think that's one of the reasons this is one of my favorite giallos, is it is very slashery and has a killer with a sort of a ski masky thing. I'm a sucker for a good slasher type thing with a good mask. And though it's a very simple mask, it's very menacing somehow. I don't know. I can't explain it. But I don't always upgrade the Giallos, but this is one I decided I would. And I think this one's available on Diabolik as well. This is the VCI Blu-ray of Horrors of the Black Museum. And this one I picked up mostly because I watched it as part of a Pure Cinema episode we did with Edgar Wright, where he picked a bunch of underrated British horror films. And this is one of them. And it's pretty nutty in terms of the Michael Gough performance and just the plot in general. Again, another one I'd rather you see, but there's some pretty crazy gore happening in this. It's not gory, but there are a few moments that are pretty nuts. And yeah, this has some commentaries, and it's a decent release, a 235 release, so a movie that you want to be sure to watch in 235. I think it was on Tubi at the time. I think it was 235 there, but I'm not sure. But this is an all-region Blu-ray. Anyway, that'll do it for this round. Just a bunch of stuff that you can pick up from DiabolikDVD, and you should if any of them interest you. But definitely keep an eye on them. Follow their newsletter. Follow their socials. They're always on top of things in terms of what's coming out and what you can pre-order. And I'm a big fan of the pre-order because you set it and forget it, and that's one of my favorite things. So anyway, DiabolikDVD.com is where you should go. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.